Hi everyone. This is going to be a tutorial on how to find GIS data to start creating base maps for our projects. So the first thing I want to talk about is what type of base map data should you be looking for? And the most basic type of data out there is called planimetric data, and this is basically plan data in vectorized formats such as road center lines, building footprints, land use areas, all that stuff. The resource that I tend to go to first whenever I'm looking up data for a project is this website here called download.geofabric.de. So I have this open over here in my Chrome browser right there, so download.geofabric.de. These are basically OpenStreetMap data that is vectorized and distributed via shapefile format. And so this resource here is really good because it can pretty much get you data for pretty much anywhere in the world. The data is the most accurate in the United States. If you go international, I can't vouch for the accuracy of the data. So, most of our projects are in North America anyway, and so we should be able to find pretty good data for most cities in the world on this website here. So let's just start with an example. Let's say let's go to North America here, and let's just pick up a random city in the United States. I guess since we are in Missouri, we'll go to Missouri here. And then you're going to want to download this file right here called Missouri latest /free.shp. You're going to want, again, download the SHP file, which is the shapefile format, which is openable in a tool like ArcGIS. So you click on that, you can just download it. So let's start downloading here. Just give it a second to download. And then once it's finished downloading, you basically want to unzip this file and then put it in some location on your desktop somewhere. I already did that before I started this video. I saved it on my desktop in this folder called GIS data right here, Missouri latest./free.shp. So this basically, if I open this folder, you can see it's a bunch of planimetric data, land use, roads, buildings, natural areas. Everything that you could possibly need to build a base map is in this file right here. So you're going to want to add this data into your GIS file. So I'm going to open ArcMap. ArcMap is the industry standard GIS software platform that we use to look at, analyze, visualize GIS data. We have 3 licenses of this as part of our Clayco enterprise here. So if you want access to this tool, just let me know. I can help you get this program installed on your laptops. So to add data, this is not going to be a GIS tutorial, so a more in-depth tutorial on that will come later. But let's just add that data into this map here. So I have that right over here on the side of my catalog. Let's say you want to bring in buildings. So what you do is just basically click on the data that you downloaded and bring it into your map over here, and see that it adds all the buildings for, not all the buildings, but most of the buildings for the major cities in Missouri. You can also add things like water as well. So I drag this in here and adds all the rivers in Missouri. So that looks all good to me. Now, one thing that you're going to want to do whenever you start setting up a base file to export to, say, for instance, CAD or whatever you want to use, is you always want to make sure that you're using the correct coordinate system before you do anything else. So what I recommend doing is to look up what is known as the NAD 1983 coordinate system for your particular state or region. The easiest way to do that, if you don't know what it is just simply Google NAD 1983 zones, and you should be able to find maps of, like, for instance, this one right here, of the various coordinate system zones in the United States. But what I have for me is I actually downloaded a KML, which is a Google Earth format that allows me to basically look at pretty much every single coordinate system zone in the United States. So if I zoom into, say, for instance, St. Louis, which is the data that, let's say, we want to export a CAD base for, I have this little red boundary right here. If I click on this red boundary here, it tells me that the coordinate system for NAD 1983 zone is this MOE, Missouri East name there. So what we want to do is we want to set the ArcMap file here, this one here, to the Missouri East 1983 coordinate system. So the way we do that is you double click on the layers, or rather the data frame properties, which is achievable by just double click on this layers panel here. And then you want to go to the coordinate system tab over here. Easiest way to find the coordinate system for your state is just type in the state. So I'm going to type in Missouri in the search bar right over here. And then you should be able to see that it lets you select from a various number of NAD 1983 coordinate systems. The most important aspect of this is most of these are basically the same thing, but you're going to want to click on the one that has US feet right, you can see US feet as the unit, because we're going to want to export, when you export this to CAD, you want to make sure that it exports the units to feet. So click on that. You see as it gives you Missouri, Central, East, and West. And if you remember going back to this map here, this is the state of Missouri right here. You have East, Central, and West. So we're going to want to use the coordinate system for Missouri East. So I'm going to go into that real quick. Missouri East. Double click on that, click OK, click OK. Yes. Then what's going to happen is that you see this map transforms to match the correct coordinate system for that region. So now that it's all good, what you want to do is you want to zoom into the region that you want to export data for. Let's say you want to export data. Let's just zoom into the region of St. Louis. And just keep in mind that the bigger the export, the longer it'll take. So you always want to make sure that you export data just for the region that you need data for. Let's just say just export data for the region of St. Louis right here. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that the data frame is encompassing the entire region you want to export the data for. So the data frame is basically the viewport that you see right here around the border of this right here. So with that set in place, basically with the view set, you go to one of the layers on your table of contents here. Let's say this water layer here. You right click on it, go to data, export to CAD. It's going to bring up an export dialog in a second. And then you can add in other data sets into this as well. So let's add in the building data set as well to that export to CAD feature here. The output type will be a DWG, and then you want to choose the location format for that. So right now it's saving onto some random folder. Let's just save it on my desktop. So click on desktop. Let's call this file St. Louis data. And then the next important thing is to go to this environments button down here, click on environments. And then you want to make sure you want to set the output coordinates here, this little tab here, to be same as display. What this will do basically is it makes sure that the export to CAD inherits this coordinate system, and more importantly inherits the units of that as well. And then you're also going to go to this thing called processing extent, then make that also to be same as display as well right there. What this basically does is that when it exports the data to CAD, it will only export the data that is in the processing extent, like literally what you see in the viewport there. So with those two settings set, you just click OK and then OK. And then it's going to start the process of exporting this data out to CAD. While that's exporting, I'm going to open Rhino so that we can open that file and look at it. Okay, and then when it's done exporting, it'll basically automatically add that data into your table of contents in GIS. We don't need that to exist there, so I'm just going to remove it here. But on your desktop, you should have now a new export to CAD right there, St. Louis data, a DWG file that we can use in other tools such as Rhino. So in Rhino, I'm just going to go to File, Import, and then just go to your desktop and find that file we just exported, St. Louis data, double click on that, and then go to View, and then just zoom to the selection there, and you see basically you've created a data set of that, of the data that you just exported. And I'm just going to make the layers black so it's easier to see. And that's basically how you export GIS data from an internet source and then bring that into a tool such as Rhino for you to start building things in 3D. That's it.